Well, welcome anyone who's joining us live today. If you are joining us live, especially on LinkedIn, where I know most people are watching live, feel free to say hi in the comments and tell us where you are joining from. My name is Erica Hughberg, and I am on the east coast of the US, just outside of Atlanta, and it's unusually cold here today. We had freezing temperatures. I always do the weather report, Hannes. I know I might sound crazy. Providing this weird weather report, but that's been definitely unusually cold. My name is Erica Hughberg and I work at TechTrade. But here, I'm not the interesting person here. The interesting person is Hannes because he's not normally here. So, Hannes, who are you and where in the world are you right now?
My name is Hannes Rudolph. I am the community manager at Roo Code. I wear a few hats at Roo Code, but community manager is the one that I put on the screen. And I am in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Cool.
And right now it is -1 Celsius.
Okay, that is quite interesting because it does not seem right that it's not much warmer in Georgia because we're just above 0 Celsius at the moment, which is wild for southern US this time of year. Yeah.
Well, but we're happy we're not in the -40 anymore. So
I hear you.
We were close with wind chill. So
oh wow, I'm from Sweden.
Nice to be warm again.
Yeah, I'm from Sweden, so I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also totally hear you on the wearing multiple hats, especially in a smaller company. So hear you on that. But you have a super interesting background because you do not have you don't have the traditional, oh, I went to university to study computer science and I joined a company and then eventually I got into this. You have a really varied background, and that probably is what makes you really good because you come from being a user and builder rather than just a programmer, engineer, or anything by trade. So yeah, please share a little bit how on earth you ended up even finding out what Roo was.
Well, I have a small business. My background is in family. I worked in a family business for many years. I worked with my brother. I started my own small business, and I was working on a piece of software to help automate some of our customer relationship documenting in my small construction business, actually, renovations, handyman work, and such. My background with programming, I've always been a tinkerer. So, so I think when I was 14 or 16, I started learning about PHP and HTML, and I thought it was fun, and I played with it. And over the years, I've dabbled in JavaScript and TypeScript and Python and such.
Yeah.
And so I was building this tool, and I was using a piece of software that was new and upcoming. I think this was November of 2024. And I was using this software called Klein.
Yeah.
Well, I had started with Aider.
Oh, yes.
Well, actually, I wrote my own script, and then I was like, well, people are talking about Aider. So I used Aider, and it was great. And then I used Klein, and it was great, and awesome people at Klein. And I was.
What made you go to use these tools versus just asking in ChatGPT or something?
I was asking in ChatGPT. That's where I started before Aider, because I was asking, and then I was copying and pasting. And then I feel like, well, why couldn't I just, I mean, the idea of being able to be like, here's the code, just edit it. It wasn't a thing, and I heard about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll try this. And I had very little hopes for it. Aider, it was good. It was hit and miss sometimes, but there were workflows you could work with to get stuff to happen. And then Klein was really neat too, and it seemed very capable. And I wanted to auto approve writing, write and execute commands, I think it was. And so I had never made a pull request.
Like ever to anything, or
no, I didn't know how to make a pull request. I had a GitHub account.
Yeah.
But I only ever Yeah, I didn't really use it much, and I never did pull request. It was all private repository stuff for my
Yeah.
own business, sort of for version control, so that if my computer got wiped, I had it my version
Yeah.
control. Yeah, so I made a pull request, and it turns out that there is a company called Roo.vet. They have um, their
Yeah.
veterinary management software company,
Mm.
and they had, I think, 20 plus engineers or something, and they needed the same thing because
Yeah.
their engineers, I guess, didn't like writing tests. So
Yeah.
it was like, well, they were writing code, and you could get a tool to write tests, but you had to keep clicking approve, approve. So they wanted auto approve as well. So they made a pull request days before me, maybe 2 weeks or something. I think at most, and
Yeah.
I ended up closing mine down in favor of theirs. I didn't know you're supposed to check that if other people had them. I think there was 3 or 4 people
Like
that
the whole
didn't
like
have pull
open
requests.
source, like the whole open source like culture thing is, yeah, feels like there's a lot of both written and unwritten rules in that space, right?
Right. Well, so I started. The pull request never got merged
Mm.
because the people at Klein were super busy working on things,
Mm.
and I mean, as someone who helps manage an open source project at this moment, I
Mm.
know, I'm not casting shade over there. It's a lot of work to try to
Yeah.
respond to all pull requests, and it you can feel ignored just because you only have so many hours in a day, and you have to sometimes
Yeah.
choose. You don't get to it.
Yeah.
So they didn't, and Klein or Roo started, published to the VSCode marketplace, and just, I think, to make it easier for
Yeah.
some of the people who we kept building it for. It wasn't I wasn't doing it at the time. It was our
Yeah.
current CEO, Matt Rubens, kept building it and sending it to them, and it's like, well, here, just download it, and it started
Mm.
taking off, and like, we're like, oh, it ended up getting spun off into
Yeah.
its own company. And when they were in the process of doing that, at that point, I had been involved in starting a Reddit, a subreddit.
Mm.
I actually didn't even ask them. I
Because you
started
just
it.
wanted to talk to people, I guess. You wanted to talk to people about
If
Roo.
they were asking questions about it, and I wanted to answer
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't answer them on the Klein
Yeah.
Discord or subreddit. I mean, that's not classy.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate. I mean,
No, I
they're
agree.
really great people over there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that to them.
Yeah.
And I also didn't want to make a big splash. I just wanted to answer the questions to people.
Mm.
There was no intention of competing with
Yeah.
anybody. There was no intention of doing anything more than just helping people out to use this thing. I
Yeah.
mean, I had work to do. This was on the side, my
Yeah.
involvement in providing support. And then I ended up doing the same with Discord, though that was not
Mm.
without the blessing of Matt. That was, he gave the go ahead.
Yeah.
And then they ended up hiring me.
To
So
actually get
that's how
paid for doing it and not just doing it in your free
right.
time for
And so
free.
then I spent a lot of time, I would test stuff. I didn't actually build anything about Roo at that
Mm.
time. The odd pull request of,
Mm.
minor thing, changing wording really. Um,
Yeah.
and I would, be full time. I was managing community stuff and
Mm.
making Reddit posts and etc. And then I started using Roo to build Roo, which
Oh.
Matt was already doing, and now I'm one of our largest contributors on a daily basis.
Mm.
I make multiple pull requests outside of, while also working on
Yeah.
my community management stuff, and I
Mm.
use Roo to build Roo, like
I think that's really
100%.
interesting. Like using Roo to build Roo. Like what about, like, how do you, so obviously you use Roo to build Roo. What
Yeah.
are like the key things that makes Roo a good coding agent, and what do you have to set up to make Roo a good coding agent for your work?
Agentic coding is still very new. And so the answer to this question, there's several answers to this question. One of them could be very, step one, step two.
Yeah.
But that will be outdated by the time you're watching this, whoever you are. Because except for the people watching the live stream, those instructions, it changes so fast. It's just the best practice is really it's upended weekly, monthly. And so
that's
anyways,
a really good point. Like, things are moving, and coding agents feel like they're just getting better and better and better, and get surprised. I personally get surprised all the time by how good
because
things
there's
are
the
getting.
infrastructure, the workflow, the wrapper, which is Roo, Klein, Cursor's agent, Claude Code, Codex, Open Code, etc. These are there are wrappers around these models, and then there's the models. And we spend a lot of time working on ways to get the model to provide successful edit information so it could edit. Well, that's not a struggle anymore. The model got better and wiped out all the need for that work.
Wow.
And so it's interesting working with them and building them. Building the wrapper, which is Roo, because the abilities of the models are changing so fast, and we don't know when they're going to hit, because
they come when they come.
Right. And you have one model makes a leap, and then other models catch up or surpass it. It's just, the schedule is mind-boggling.
Something that I like in Roo, though, is like the modes. I don't know if they're like, I just like the idea of switching like between them.
Well, I guess I should rewind a minute. It seems like I dodged your question. How can people use it? What's a good workflow? The answer is to choose a tool today. If you have work to do, choose a tool or two, play with them a bit, and find a workflow that gets you stuff done, and don't pay too much attention to all the hype, and just get some stuff done, and then do that again in a month. Make a little time each month to adjust your workflow based on what has improved, because it's very easy to get lost in all the improvements, and the improvements today don't matter tomorrow sometimes. So productivity wise, it's stressful because you still have to get stuff done.
And I know that, like, this idea of like sub agents and people like offloading like more async workflows. Are you using that yourself with Roo?
Yes, on several fronts. One is through Roo Code Cloud. I always trigger workflows to fix bugs, to apply changes, to make adjustments to pull requests. Every issue that is created by the community automatically gets a response from a sub agent called an automated agent called Remote. And Remote asks questions and then goes, do you want me to go ahead with this plan? And if they say yes, it will generate a PR, a pull request automatically for them to.
It actually helps improve it, because as you said, it's so much work to maintain an open source project, and the issues that get created, and sometimes you have duplicate issues or slightly different perspectives of the issue, right?
Very much so.
And so effectively you have an AI agent that can ideally take care of a lot of things that are especially more straightforward, that maybe doesn't require a lot of conversation with the person who raised the issue, but anything that's well defined, it can hopefully. Does it ask questions back
Yes.
in the issue to clarify?
Yes, it does, and that workflow is improving. So if someone were to have experienced this a month ago, it's very much different than the experience it is today, because we're working on it daily.
Yeah.
Right. We look and we change how it looks. We change how it acts. We change the prompts and the triggers. Yeah.
And this is really fun, actually, because it really allows the community, maybe people who are not like super good at coding something like Roo, to be able to get involved to the continuous improvement of the project without putting a massive burden on maintainers.
It's starting to help when people report an issue to ask them questions about it. I've seen where somebody goes, oh, this is, they create a bug and they say this is the problem. And then ask some questions and they go, oh, okay, never mind, it's not a bug. And then the person closes it. It's not that Roo said that, it's that Roo asked questions and then the person goes, oh, okay. And so it almost provides support sometimes like that. And so that's one way of using these agents. But in terms of sub agents, my workflow has been for a while now running work trees, Git work trees.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with these, but I have 10 of them for the main Roo Code repo. Well, and I have 4 computer screens and I run multiple desktops on my Mac, so I can switch between them. And each work tree is basically a branch of the main repo, and I can go in and instead, it's a manual way of having sub agents instead of having it from one interface. And I was doing it before the current popularity of sub agents became as popular as it is. And so we're working on a way to do that more effectively in Roo. But that's what I do. And I'll go in one and I will ask a question, or I'll go in and say, okay, do a pull request review, and I'll just paste it. And then I'll go to another one and throw it, test something. And so, right now I've got, I have only 3 sessions going right now. I'm working on cleaning up our OpenAI provider, as well as refactoring the read file tool. And sorry, no, I have 5 windows open.
5 windows open. And
and I'm using Roo to dig through. I sort of will switch to them and get them going. And then they'll take 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes to do whatever they're doing. And I'll just go back to the next thing instead of waiting.
Yeah. Do you feel like, are you very deliberate in what you are asking them to do so they're not working in the same part of the code at the same time?
Because they're working on different branches. They don't collide.
Yeah. But I mean, like when you then raise PRs.
Well, I mean, if I wouldn't work on, let's say, the OpenAI provider section of code in 2 different windows.
Yeah.
Because mentally it
would be hard as well.
But if I did, then I would end up with merge conflicts, which aren't much of an issue, since I just tell Roo to resolve the merge conflicts.
Oh, wait. So that's a really interesting one. I never thought of even using an agent to help me resolve the merge conflicts. That is something
we have a mode called merge resolver mode, and we have a mode called PR fixer mode. And all I do is I go into PR fixer mode.
Do I have to go in the mode marketplace for that?
A pull request. I don't even know if they're both in there. They are both in the Roo Code repo.
Okay. Sorry, you got me looking at stuff now. If anyone wonders what I'm looking at my other screen because I got Roo up there. Okay, maybe we need another session at some point, Hannes, where you just show me how to do stuff and you just wow me by me realizing I could do things I didn't realize.
Well, in this case, I will get merge. I will get merge resolver on the marketplace this week. If it is not, let me just go take a look to see if it's on there. It's hard to keep track.
Because I'm looking, okay, I found it. I can click install. Look, I'm installing things.
Yes. Okay. So we do have Merge Resolver on there.
Yeah,
and I use this and it resolves. I just give it in my workflow. I just give it the number of the PR while I'm checked out on that branch, or sorry, while I'm in that main. It will check out that branch. It'll do things. It'll do a force push. It does it properly so that you don't end up with 20,000 changes.
Yeah.
Because you forgot to rebase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. It's clearly, I haven't really. I mean, I did some like creating my own mode, for myself, but I think that there's probably a whole treasure trove of modes in the marketplace that is. Sorry, now I'm just scrolling through, but that's
here's part of the problem with the modes in the marketplace is they're written, and then the abilities of Roo and the abilities of the models change.
Yeah.
And those modes, exactly what you want them to do and how you want them to do changes. And so I know everybody doesn't want to tinker, and they can edit modes, they can adjust them.
Yeah.
We're looking for ways to build better workflows out of the box, so people don't have to tinker in order to take advantage of these, because it's really handy. But wouldn't it be nice to just be able to be like, well, resolve, you download Roo, you connect it to let's say Codex. By the way, we have yesterday night we launched
connecting it with Codex. That's not just connecting it with the OpenAI models. That sounds more advanced.
You as of last night, you can connect Roo Code. Instead of paying for API, you can use your ChatGPT subscription. It's officially supported by OpenAI. It's not a workaround.
Yeah.
And they, it's great. So if you have ChatGPT Pro or Plus or Teams, you just connect it and you don't pay for your API calls. There are limits, but I mean, I don't. It's pretty hard to hit limits on the Pro, and so you get access to their awesome models. And so it would be great to be able to tell people, look, just connect it to your ChatGPT subscription and just click resolve merge conflicts, or just tell it to resolve merge conflicts. So we are looking at various. We've recently incorporated agent skills. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Right. So I think having skills for resolving merge conflicts, and it is a bit of a moving
maybe
target,
what we should do, by
as
the way,
API changes and the training for the models changes, the skills need to be upgraded with it.
Yeah, maybe we should take a step back. Maybe we should talk about what skills are and what makes skills different from just connecting an MCP server to your setup.
Yes, skills. Okay, so what are skills? Agent skills are basically instructions on how to do something, or even a knowledge base on a specific topic, or details about your workflow, perhaps, or your code base. And instead of just dumping them into your model's context, each chat or manually, the model makes decisions as to when to pull it in. So you say, well, make me a linear, issue for this bug. So you're working through, you found a bug, and you're like, okay, well, make me a linear issue for this bug. Well, the model goes, okay, I see these skills, and there's one for linear tasks. So instead of just using the MCP server, you probably have specific instructions about how you want it to format or interact with linear. And it will then read that skill, pull it into context, and do the thing you asked.
So that's really nice, because that's, I guess, effectively what humans also do. We decide when we want to use our skills. But what's really powerful now is we don't have to like overload our model calls with a huge set of contexts, because there's been situations, I feel like there's so many stories out in industry, people are like, oh, look how much is just like context versus what I'm actually asking it to do. And so skills really help.
Yeah, well, when to give it what's context.
Yeah. And so
yeah,
we have really happy to see Dave Stenglein joining us. Actually, Dave is the first person who ever mentioned Roo to me, by the way. So that's really fun. So, and I think that's a really good point he's making here, that people have ways that are working already, like a dev team has processes and ways they're working, and they are really adaptable to Gen AI. And I think that's a really
good point.
Really good point. And I think allowing, like, people can explore. And I think, as you said, Hannes, that with everything is so evolving so much, and in a way, I guess, if you fit it into what your most, proper way of working, then it works. Oh, got more comment from Dave. Yeah,
one
go
of the
ahead.
One of the hardest things that I have found is I come up with I embrace a workflow that I'm comfortable with, and then being willing to throw it all away maybe next week or next month, which can be stressful. It's not productive to do it every day, maybe not every week, but it's not admitting you were wrong. It's going, oh, things changed this quickly. I mean, it's sort of like the transition from using one product to another because it's a better product. Sometimes you just have to use the product, right? So being willing to make that decision and not get stuck, I think will prevent us from being outdated, from expiring sooner. Well, our skill set.
But I think that's also really good thing to think about. There's been so much talk, obviously, for software engineers out in this, like, oh, what's happening to my way of working? Is everything's going to change? And things like that, right? Like wondering if what software engineers have learned becomes obsolete. However, I don't know how you think about that, Hannes, but I feel that having a software engineering background, I mean, I feel like I have such a similar story to you, Hannes. Like my first introduction to coding was PHP when I was like 12, 13. And then going into that journey of building websites and things like that, and then continuing on. Obviously, my trajectory ended up going to university, studying computer science. But then
I tried going.
Oh, sorry, I lost you there.
Work out. I said I tried going to university. It just didn't work out for very long.
You didn't enjoy it?
I just couldn't. It wasn't for me at the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
it was 20 years ago. So.
Wasn't your thing. And what was sort of interesting though is this being as a person, not just as a company, but as a person adapting to these tools and really use the tools to achieve something, I think is really exciting. And in many ways, I feel having a software background makes it easier for me to use these tools rather than harder.
Yes, if you are open to learning. But you have to enable that learning switch, which can feel like admitting you're wrong.
Yes. Yeah,
because how you looked at the world is no longer the way to look at it. And that can sort of feel like you're saying I was incorrect. And that I think is hard psychologically to embrace over and over and over. It feels great once you do, but it's like apologizing when you do something you shouldn't. It always feels great when it's done, but it doesn't always make it easier to do it next time.
But I think that hitting on this like psychological challenges we know that we go through with change, right? And also appreciating that this is a space that's moving rather than being a reflection on you. This is not you being wrong. This is this moving really fast. So I have this thing that I feel is a common misconception when it comes to the the tools such as Roo or Klein or Claude Code or Goose or whichever thing you are using. I have found, and it was interesting because you and I spoke about this, Hannes, and you were like, "Oh, I haven't heard as much," and I felt like, "Oh, this is interesting," because obviously we're in different bubbles, I guess, in the world, and this idea that these solutions are not adding much value on top of the actual model, and the only thing that makes them good is the model. However, my perception is that the orchestrator here is actually where the magic happens. Well, there's a lot of magic that happens with the model, but imagine you're using Roo with an OpenAI model or an Anthropic model or maybe some other model. There's still a lot of quality that you get out of that. And how have since you're working on Roo, what are things that Roo does that you feel that you think maybe a lot of people don't know that it does? Like we talked about the skills that happen, but other things that might be happening before the call to the inference goes off.
What are some cool things it does that people don't know it does?
Is there a system prompt in that maybe somewhere?
There's definitely a system prompt. There is. It's a dynamic system prompt that changes based on what mode you're in and what skills you have available, what modes you have available. Roo is depending on your settings, but out of the box, Roo is aware of what GitHub, what
project,
changes you have. Knows what project you're in, what changes you have. Which files are currently changed, staged or unstaged, and such. Which tabs are open, which they debug. So you see errors on your debug window. When Roo edits a file, it sees, oh, there's an error there now,
and I have to fix it. Does it automatically
depends on your workflow, and it depends on the model. A lot of and this is changing, and it's somewhat model dependent, but it's becoming much more common. A lot of what you need to do isn't telling the model what to do. It's okay, you give it an objective, but sometimes telling it how to do it, if you can give it the context, what files have been changed, what your current errors are showing, these things can give it hints as to what it should do. Because, so for example, sometimes you're changing two files, and you change one file, and now there's a TypeScript error. There's an error. Sorry, you can see something in the syntax problem, and that's only going to go away when you make the second change. So you don't want to tell it to fix that, because it's just making the first change. It will make the second change, and that will disappear. So
when to pay attention to the issues.
Right. So it's complicated to guide models down a decision path. And it's crazy because as new models come out, that changes. And every model has different ticks, different mannerisms. And
personalities in some way.
Very much so. And it can be sort of frustrating to try to, frustrating or challenging to try to get a tool to respond well to all models. And I don't know how possible that is. We try every day. My advice would be to stick to certain models. And if you're, which that group of models, your Opus, your Sonnet, your GPT 5.2, Gemini 3, etc. These models, they're still learning curve about learning their behavior. And when Gemini 3 goes from preview to release,
Yeah.
it's going to change again. You're going to have to learn stuff, and we try to
Yeah.
keep up to how you should interact with it. But what you say today when you say fix it,
Yeah.
well, maybe that actually does something today, and then maybe tomorrow, without changing anything in Roo, when they change the model, saying fix it leads it to go and ask you a question because it sees it has a tool, and they've
Yeah.
trained it to try to act with guidance, and when it doesn't
Yeah.
have guidance, to ask questions, right? So this is learning the model that the workflow that works with your model is time consuming and challenging.
Yeah. And it's like almost like you get used to them, also like as an end user, you get used to the model you are using. And it's funny for me because I tend to use, now I really got into Claude and Opus. I mainly use the Opus models now. I use Sonnet for a while, but I then switch to a GPT model, like an OpenAI
Wasn't it
GPT model
bizarre how
for
at first it felt like
writing.
GPT wasn't any good, and
Yeah.
then when you learned how to communicate to it, you're like, oh no, this is actually a very capable model. It's
Yeah.
very good at responding to it. You tell it to do something, and it holds on to that, and it does
Yeah.
that thing, right?
And I find that, I don't know, this is a weird one. I really like GPT for also adding content into like the actual information that I want to have.
I
Like,
use it for writing my
yeah,
release notes.
yeah, same. I really like its writing, and also I feel like it responds really well when I set up the writing style that I want to have.
You set up yeah, that's part of your workflow. I have my writing style and my workflow. I want it to follow
Yeah,
exact steps. And I
yeah,
could write a script, but it seems it's a bit fluid. I want it to follow these
yeah,
exact steps at every single time. And when I use
yeah,
Opus, yeah, it when it gets to the end, it does great, but it varies in how it acts too much
yeah.
between interactions.
And I have an interesting thing, because I think maybe a lot of people don't know about this, and it's something that I thought was super cool about these agentic coding tools. You know, you talk about workflows and the ability to create these workflows and be able to write them in a markdown, right? And we can then reuse these workflows
Yeah.
for and like creating like natural language workflows. So if we go back in time, I'm sure you did as well. Like you create all of these bash scripts for automating things in your life. I don't. And
I have
was
absolutely.
that was sort of gatekeeping automation to technical people, right? And
Well,
now
and you'd have to go to like Stack Overflow and get abused to find your answer. You'd go there
yeah,
and then you'd copy and paste something or find someone who had the same issue and not copy, right?
yeah,
And yeah, absolutely. I've set up automations over the years, 100%. Have that computer over there running a cron
yeah.
job every hour.
Yeah, but now when people are able to also write workflows in natural language, a lot more other people who weren't able to create automations easily can. And I think that is really cool. So weirdly, even though we have these tools, especially like Roo is in you're using VSCode, which is fairly technical, but you can actually allow less technical people to also automate things.
And it opens up, I think, the door to a whole group of people that learn hands-on. I learn
Yeah.
hands-on, and so construction is easy for me because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
You just try it, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you just try coding? I mean, if you don't know how to paint, I bet you have an idea. You could go to the store and buy
Yeah.
something and go try it. And by the time you were done painting the room you're in, you'd be like, huh, well, I know what not to do now.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be like, well, I want to build a website. Well,
Yeah.
okay, where do you don't just go and try to build a website. You have to learn what tools do you use, right? The assumptions
Yeah.
aren't as clear. And so now this whole group of people is able to actually try it. And I know there's people that just make slop and it's like, oh, it's good enough, it works. But I think
Yeah.
that there's a lot of people that are like, cool, and they look at what it's doing and they go, okay, I'm going to ask it this differently. And they were never going to go to university to learn this. It just didn't click like me. And, I
because
don't
also
do well with the
university.
theory.
But by the way, I obviously studied computer science at university, and I feel like a lot of what I did way before university of just building websites and building things proved incredible. The pre-university time proved very valuable in work life.
You learned problem solving.
Yeah. So there's definitely, I do really appreciate that, like an academic setting teaches you not just knowledge, it teaches you how to operate within the academic setting, if that makes sense, rather than teaching you skills.
And I'm not of the I'm not of the mindset that the playing field is totally flattened. I think that somebody with a background like yours, real engineering background, applying these tools will far outpace what someone like me can do. Yeah, I can do often as much as an engineer now, but that's only when they're not using the tools. When they're using the tools, I don't know if I can keep up to them, because they understand things that I have to ask questions about, and I'm doing my best to learn those as I go. But there is something to be said about learning the structure behind it properly, not just flying by the seat of your pants the way I can often do. So I am not at all casting shade on engineers. I have deep respect, and I think that the world as we know it will change even faster as engineers embrace it. I see that on our team as the people that really know what they're talking about embrace it. The stuff they do, I'm like, oh man, like I'm just child's play. So,
but I think there's also really exciting things that you can do. I feel like I was really late to this, but I started really focusing on creating good like agents.md files. And for those who don't realize, you can actually reference your agents.md, like your agents markdown file you can use the same one across different coding assistants as well. So that's kind of cool.
But what's neat is your skills are like a subset of that, because what I would put in my agents, now I have way less of it. It's like, no, I don't need instructions about when opening a PR do this. No, I'll put that in the skill. And now my agents is more general.
And something cool that I say I did something cool, but then I realized you could also have different, if you have a big repository, you can have different agents files for different sections of your repository, which also really helps. We talked about experience or standards. Like for Terraform, I will have like very explicit. For infrastructure, I will have very explicit, like this is how we operate in this part of the repository. And I think that can be really, like for me, that actually felt like I was just leaning on being able to bring some of my knowledge, like my perspectives and opinions, to the right place for the agent to use when needed.
So you don't have to tell it every time.
Yeah.
No, that's.
And what is that? You obviously mentioned about the Roo and OpenAI integration. That is just here. What are other things that's either recently been added to Roo, or things that are coming that you are excited about in the beginning of 2026 here?
Things that are coming that I'm excited about.
Also, that recently launched was also right.
Well, no, things that I'm excited about are cloud agents, actually. Our ability to use. So we've been using them for a while, and so I sometimes forget. But these things, as we refine them, they are. You can use cloud agents. You can sign up for Roo Code Cloud, and basically use a VSCode instance in the cloud to do the thing you would normally do. So I might go to my Roo Code and type like, look into this, yada, yada, and it will do something in it. Then it will, attempt completion, and report back to me. Well, now you could just @mention in Linear or Slack and say, hey, what's going on with this? Or change the what's it called? The color of this or that on, and it will go and look into it, make a to-do list, ask you questions if need be, report back to you, make a PR, and then I didn't even have to touch the computer. And I think a lot of the maintenance work that we get stuck doing, or that engineers get stuck doing, can really take up our creativity. We're basically changing the color of buttons, stuff that can be that menial. And it's like, why does it need me to do that? I would like to design a new feature and how this and this work, and I can use AI to assist me, because every time I just tell it to, it doesn't get the subtleties. But I need to spend time getting those subtleties into a document to get an agent to do that. But I can often be busy spending time like adding a new model to a provider. It's the price is over here on their website. The file's over here where it needs to be added. Just go get it and add it. But I spend 15 minutes and do something, and I go in, and it's like, well, so I think that with the current state of subagents, we can free up our work to do the things that matter, so that we don't get stuck doing all the maintenance crap. And that's going to change. That's changing each day, because the maintenance, what is considered a maintenance task or a menial task is growing. Right. Like that new feature tomorrow will be able to be added with a few sentences.
So this was really interesting. Also, just talking about subagents, but also relating that back to what you were saying earlier of how Roo actually uses the issues that people create in open source to be able to kick off eventually work that happens by an agent, which is super cool, because that is the same idea with the whole subagents. Do you feel that a lot of people have like jumped on this in the community, or is it still like a new thing that people are adopting?
I think lots of people are playing with it and finding workflows that work, but the good workflows are there's really great advances in these workflows daily, arguably. So I don't think it's fully embraced, because I know the whole space is moving fast, but certain parts of it are moving faster than others. And so a stable iteration is still, I think, to be found. And so you did ask me, what are some new and upcoming things? And I guess I didn't say anything about the extension. And so for extension users, we've recently implemented native tool calling, and are going to be setting up per model prompting. So just give different tools to different models, and different system prompt to they respond differently, right? You don't have to tell. Our current system prompt, Codex or GPT 5.2 always uses my code-based search tool out the gate. Gemini does not. Does that make Gemini lesser of a model? No, it has different subtleties in how it follows instructions. We have a tool when you're using GPT 5.2, we use the apply patch tool to edit and write files. Well, we found that with Gemini models, it does great with our apply diff tool, but changing its name to edit file actually had a measurable impact, which we haven't rolled that out yet, on our evals. So finding these things out, and
so you guys
changing the prompt or just the name of the tool for a different model.
So that's also really cool. So you guys do evals on these models. Do you therefore also recommend models to people to use?
I would recommend the top tier models that everybody, Gemini, 3 is Pro is great. GPT 5.2
Yeah.
is medium and high are ones I use a lot. Opus,
Yeah.
medium thinking I use. So these are, in terms of recommending, a lot of people, it depends on the type of work they're getting it to
Yeah.
do. It's hard
Yeah.
to say. And so
Okay.
we
So I
have
was
these new
just
features.
curious if
Oh,
you
sorry.
had like, I was just curious if Roo has like people, you know, you guys at Roo have even a
It
guide
changes.
for people.
We'd be rewriting the guide every 3 weeks.
Yes.
And the time that it takes.
Yeah.
So there is so we have changes to our orchestration coming out, by the way,
Yeah.
as well. So
Okay.
we're looking. Oh yeah, we've had boomerang tasks or orchestration for some time, but I
Yeah.
think it's time to start to really show that relationship in the task history, allow for aggregated expense, recording of your costs and displaying of your costs. Parallel tool calling is up and coming.
Yeah. That sounds good
Parallel
though. Parallel tool calling.
subtasks
Yeah.
is something we're working on. So, instead of saying,
There's like not just one thing, but it
well,
sounds
yeah,
like there's a lot of improvements, especially on the in extension orchestrate, like the orchestrator effectively.
yes. And then probably the greatest new features that are up and coming are yet to be discovered.
Yeah, that's a
We're
good point.
everybody else is we're trying to keep up, and Anthropic or OpenAI or Google go, they have this new tool or way of doing things, and it's like, oh yeah, and we copy
Yeah.
it.
So I have a sort of, I guess this is coming to sort of a closing question. I wanted you to also share how people, if they want to get involved with getting more out of Roo themselves, or being part of talking about these upcoming potential new things, we don't even know what they will be. How can they get involved? What are ways that you are engaging with the community? There's obviously the Discord that people can get involved in, but what other ways can people get involved in the community?
Well, yes, Discord, Reddit, or subreddit is quite active.
Yeah.
Yeah, I often prefer Reddit because I can check in and then formulate a response, whereas
Yeah.
Discord can be more responsive. It's hard to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you have time to kill, Discord. If you want to be laser focused, Reddit. We have X. We have YouTube.
Yeah. And and obviously you have issues on GitHub that people can raise. If it's, where should people go to ask questions? Where is the best way to ask a question? Is that Reddit?
The best way to ask a question is
about Roo. Yeah.
if you go to our docs.roocode.com or when you're logged into your cloud account, you can go to the roocode.com and log in. There is a little chat bot in the bottom right, and that is, every one of those is reviewed, and during many hours of the days they're responded to in real time. So the bot responds. Somebody asks a question. They go, well, how do I do this? Well, the bot has access to the docs and such, and it just says, well, here, like this, and did that help? And we are watching that often in real time.
Oh,
and we'll just jump in, or we'll jump in a few hours later if, depending on schedules and such. So that's a good way to get stuff sorted.
Yeah.
And it is human, very human. Even though there's a bot there, every one of those chats is reviewed.
Yeah. And if you don't get your answer there, I guess Reddit or Discord.
Right. Some people just want to ask a general question.
Yeah.
Maybe have a discussion.
Yeah.
Like a community discussion. Those are great places.
So for so obviously I can put the Discord link here for joining Roo Discord in the comments after we wrapped up. Unless you have it super handy, Hannes, you
Discord.gg/Roo Code.
Oh,
or
wow.
you can just type,
Discord.
you can click add and.
So say discord.gg/Roo Code. That's it.
/Roo Code. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if this looks correct. I hope so. And does that look right?
Yeah, looks great.
Or maybe the
maybe HTTPS.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah, because as soon as I click that, I just get into Discord.
There we go. Either it forwards.
Yeah. Well, yes, good systems forward HTTP to HTTPS automatically.
Yes. I always know that a good system should, but it still doesn't sometimes, depending on where you are. Yeah. And sometimes you're surprised by which sites don't. You link.
So obviously, I really loved your advice around people continuous learning, but also not overthinking their tools. Just like pick something and use it for a month, and then maybe you can reevaluate your tooling and stuff again.
Yeah.
But don't be stuck in trying to find the best tool before you even get going.
Well, there's a lot of great tools, and you can probably just try a few and see, and then pick one to use for now. Spend learning time, time learning, set aside time to do that.
Yeah.
But don't get distracted by the barrage of stuff that's going on in this space. It is overwhelming, and you won't get anything done.
Yeah. And obviously, we'll wrap up here, but obviously I work at TechRate, and we have actually a router that I use together with Roo for accessing our models. When I say our models, it's not our models. You get access to all of the models from you get a lot access to models from Anthropic, Google, Grok, OpenAI, etc. And you can access that at router.techrate.ai. If you sign up with a business email, you get $5 free credit. You can try that out if you'd like. It's also really good if you're building AI-powered features yourself to have your app actually connect to it. Rather than maybe a coding agent, but this does work with Roo as well, because Roo's OpenAI has OpenAI compatibility, so it works fine. And yeah, that's my little call out for having a wonderful time with Hannes here today. If you have questions for Hannes, if you're on LinkedIn, feel free to just tag him in the comments if there's something you want him to come back and answer. On YouTube, it may be harder for Hannes to find it, but hopefully you have a chance to talk to Hannes, and you can obviously find him on Discord. I would say it's probably the easiest place to find you is on Discord. That's my experience, by the way, Hannes. Faster reply on Discord than LinkedIn chat.
Yes.
I'll say.
I check into LinkedIn once a day at least. But Discord, I always have open. So
thank you so much, Hannes.
Thank you for having me.
And if anyone, wants to get involved in the Roo community, it's, as Hannes said, you can get involved, you can raise PRs, you can start with an issue, check if there's already an issue discussing it or a PR open, but it's definitely an open source community and also an end user community around the solution.
Yes. So well, thank you very much for having me once again.
And thank you.